Hi Mike, a couple of weeks before the trials, it's going to be probably the most competitive trials that I've ever seen. I don't know about yourself, you've been in the sport a number of years, but what do you expect your athletes to be doing come next week?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be ready for it. We're normally ready for it. I think we're mature enough now to not go unless we're going to be competitive. And we should be fine. We will be in the mix in most of the events that we enter. Men's 100, men's 200, women's 100 at the main events, and we should be ready to run.
Out of your stable, how many athletes do you expect to make? Firstly, the A standard, and B, to perform in the trials, finishing the first two and book their seat.
Yeah, I mean, the first two is always, it's always up for grabs because you never really know how people. I mean, I have an idea of how people compete, but I think, when I say competitive, I think we'll be in the mix. So, Luke was third in the 200 last year. I thought he could have run a better race. He now agrees he could have run a better race. He's more mature a year down the line. So I think someone like him, unfortunately, he hasn't got a standard going in. So we've got to be tactical in how we go about it. I think Jeanette, as it is without getting an A standard, partly because of slight injury setbacks in the last 2-3 months, is selectable because of the criteria of making an Olympic final and getting a standard 3 times last year. So provided she can show form, someone like her is selectable. So she doesn't really have to finish in top 2. Ashley Nelson's on the way up, and I think we finally got to the bottom of what a problem has been over the last 6 years, albeit she's only really been with us for 3 years. And then I think Luke in the 100 will be competitive. I think Adam in the 100 will be competitive. So I'm expecting that. We've got people like T and TJ that I think will be we're looking to progress through the rounds because for them that'll be a big improvement, it'll be a big step. And Jordan Hoggins is not necessarily competing this year. So
out of away from your camp, out of all the events, what's a foregone conclusion for you? Which events do you think there is no real battle in? X is going to make the team for the Olympics? Or are there any events like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the long distance, you'd have to say someone like a Mo is probably above everybody. I think, I think Tiffany, for me, would and should win the women's hurdles, barring no beating any hurdles. I think, the men and the women's sprints is quite competitive. I think the standard needs to be high generally, across the board. If I'm not mistaken, Jeanette's 11:14 is still the fastest time in the last 4 years, and we just need our girls and guys to an extent to step up and do what Simeon did, 3 years ago, 0-3 into a minus wind, which invariably would have been a 9-9 very easily. So, I think women's hurdles, I think, some of the distance events are going to be quite competitive. But I think, apart from Mo, maybe Tiffany in the hurdles, like I said, Rooney, Levine, Conrad, that would be a good tear up in the men's four as well. So it should be quite fun. So there isn't a lot of events that you might say, the foregone conclusion.
Away from track, we both attended the premiere the other day of Personal Best, which you were in. It featured a couple of your athletes and was telling the story of what athletes go through on a day-to-day basis. Firstly, do you think it captured it in a way that is as close to reality as possible? And secondly, will you be doing another one?
I think it's like the director said at the question and answer after the film, it's something that grew and grew and grew really for us. And apart from the 18 months gap they had with us, and then when it came back, he did capture a lot of what we do, a lot of how it's done across the board. My squad, John Powell's squad, so it's from that point of view, it was quite real. I think very absorbing because when you listen and watch it, you just get completely sucked into the intensity of it and become and follow these guys through their journeys, And I think if an opportunity was to come to do another one, provided it's not intrusive. The first one wasn't, and provided we're not, being so short or compromising our training, then it's something that we will consider.
Career on the big screen for you?
James 1005.
Didn't come across too bad.
No, to be honest with you, we were, like Jeanette said in the film, I think after a while, you forgot the camera was there, and I think you know, and for me, the bit that portrays, or the bit that people see it is a bit where, you know, like I said, she was having a complete meltdown session, and you know, and those were my early days, you know, and that was, I had a bunch of young athletes that, you know, there were days where we came in and I had to be like, okay, you know what, you're either going to do it today or we ain't leaving there, and you know, but as I get older and become more successful, it comes a lot more easier to them. So, you know, if there's an opportunity to do something like that again, like I said, without compromising what we're here to do, because it's very easy to forget, you know, this guy's an actual athlete and they need to train, then yeah, it's something I will think about.
You've had a star emerge in the last couple of weeks. I say a star, you've probably known that he's had the tools for a long time, but he ran a 10.08. I'm talking about Adam Jamili, is that right?
Yeah, Jamili.
He's still got the whole prospect of being a footballer and an athlete at the moment going on. But 10.08, I think it was the 18 going on 19.
He's only 18.
Fantastic, fantastic. I know, like I said, I know you've had the gem in your pot of jewels for a long time, but tell me how good he can be. Tell me a little bit about him. How did you guys pair up? I mean, what's his story?
Good call. I mean, he you know, I look after the GB juniors, as you well know, and he was one of the guys that we invited very late into the squad last year. And when he turned up, he was very, very, very green. You know, came from football. I finished football. His mum took him down to a local track to train once a week, and he very uncoordinated in the relay practice. I remember very clearly he was a Lee Valley, and he just, I mean, first one he almost ran past the guy he was meant to pass the stick to, and me and Jared Deacon, we looked at each other and thought, okay, you know, no chance, like, you know, because it's very hard to make it from there. But then what had happened afterwards was just unreal. He just went to Loughborough and ran a 10.29 windy and ran a 10.45 legal, went to the trials, finished second, you know, and all I did was just play the relay role, you know, as a team manager and the team coach, and moved very quickly up the ladder and became a 6. In fact, we went to Mannheim, and he wasn't part of the 6 at Mannheim, but ran individual at Mannheim and ran 10.4. So by default, for a guy that was only training once a week, he made a 6 in relay, made the individual 100 by finishing second, 10.23 windy, went to the game, finished second, and all this happened very quickly for him. Now, he ended up running 10.35 legal ones, but had a number of 10.4s. But he ran the 10.4s in positions where he finished second in European Juniors, beat the favourite, David. And people sort of like sat up a little bit and took notice of who he was. So at the end of the season, at the end of last season, his mum approached me and said, you know, would I take him on? I said, you know, provided this is the way we work, this is the structure, if you fit into it. He's playing football at the moment. You know, I'll have to work very hard to plan around that. And that's what we did for the first 3 months, you know. So I only saw him twice a week from October to December. And, you know, things didn't really go well with Dagenham and Redbridge. He left football in January, and the rest to say is history. And I think I spoke to you in the you know, late last year, this year, to say, you know what, you know, look out for Luke Fagan, looking for him, and look out for Jeanette this season. And you know, that's invariably what you're seeing now.
Can he, I mean, 10.08 suggests that he could go a hell of a lot quicker. There's only a few. I think there's only one Caucasian who's gone under 10 seconds in the Metro. So could he be the next one?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've spoken enough now to know, Mike, the embodiment of our training is to get people to understand the process. You know, how do you do what you do? And if you can do that, then you'll be successful. And I think he's still learning. There's a big learning curve for him at the moment. I think, I mean, I saw the race, and in fact, I spoke to him in between the rounds. He'd run a 10.11, and then in between the rounds, I said to him, you know, if I watch a tape back in the race, it's scrappy, you're toast, you know. And I remember, because I'm a big believer in arming people with the understanding of how to do what they need to do, and then the times come. So to answer your question, I think, is it the ground running? You know, pardon the pun, is still developing his technical understanding. Very, very humble kid, great upbringing by his parents. You know, his mom and dad have done a great job with him. He's a great advertisement for them, and I think most importantly, you know, he's very humble, which is a good starting point in track and field. So do I think he can go quicker? Yes, you know, but that's not going to be the way we approach it. He will understand how to do it, then he will do it, and the times will come. You know, and that's the process that we're following at the moment. But
$10 million question, man. Olympics. No Olympics. He's got the A standard. According to Charles, he's only got to do it again, and he's in. You know, it's a selection headache, isn't it? Because I know there's the World Juniors as well. So, what does he do?
Very simply, it's not a headache for us because from the beginning, I remember his mum saying to me, "How come his race plan is very low key?" And I said, "Okay, if we do what we need to do, it has to be low key." So we're running in junior leagues. He ran the British League the other day. His block slipped in around 20.75. So literally touched the ground off the blocks and went. So we didn't. I knew. I think I've been coaching for 7 years. In 7 years, this is my 7th year of coaching. I've had 4 guys on the 10.25, 8 on the 10.3, 3 on the 10.20, 1 on the 10.10. The first 4 years of my coaching was part-time coaching. So, people respond well to the work if they listen, and so I knew at some stage that would happen for him. So the race plan was intentionally low-key, go and execute and do what you're doing in training. And going forward, the ultimate plan was to go to the World Juniors. And that's still going to be the plan. Everybody's jumped on the bandwagon of Olympics and Olympics, but realistically, 6 weeks ago, nobody knew who this kid was.
But in 6 weeks' time, we have games that won't be here again in our lifetime.
But that's neither here nor there. The question is how much of that is emotional and the romantic aspect of it, how much of that is an 18-year-old guy. And again, I'm a big fan of not just looking at where you're going, but looking at where you're coming from. 11 months ago, his aim was to make the British Junior 4x1 relay team. I mean, in fact, when he got the phone call confirming it was in the 6, he cried. So we then said 11 months later, he really, really has to go to Olympics because it's in London. I'm not saying we're not going to do it. I'm just saying right now we've got to be very, very sensible. And for me, the World Juniors would take priority, and then any other thing after that is a bonus.
Thanks for your time, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, nice one. Thanks.
Hard work, dedication. Hard work. Dedication. Hard work. Dedication. And that's what we stick to.